Okay, so have you ever like put everything you've got into something and it just totally blows up in your face?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, it's like the worst feeling. You question everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, good news, everybody. Today we are diving deep into a book all about how to deal with exactly that.
Yes, we are. And you know what? It's not all doom and gloom either.
Yeah.
John C. Maxwell, who wrote the book Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn, actually says we can use these setbacks to learn and grow and become even better, and we're going to break it all down today.
Perfect. So where are we getting all this wisdom from?
Well, we've got some excellent summaries and reviews to work with.
Okay.
There's Audiobook 101. They always have great insights.
Yeah.
Alison Graham, she's got a unique perspective on things, and Beyond Books always brings the depth thinking.
Love it. So we've got plenty to chew on here.
We do.
And what's the big takeaway? I know Beyond Books really honed in on this.
Yeah. The key is reframing failure. It's not the end of the story. It's actually a chance to level up.
Right. It's like that whole idea of turning lemons into lemonade.
Exactly. But instead of lemonade, it's personal growth.
I like it. All right. So let's get into it. Where do we even begin with all this?
Well, Audiobook 101 starts with mindset.
Mindset.
Yeah. They talk about how successful people see failure completely differently.
How so?
They don't see it as a dead end. They see it as a detour.
Okay.
It's like an unexpected turn on the road. It might not be where you plan to go.
Right.
But it can still lead you somewhere amazing.
I think a lot of us are kind of programmed to fear failure, though.
Oh, totally. We worry about what people will think.
Yeah, like it means we're not good enough.
Exactly. But what Maxwell and these summaries are saying is that's not true at all. Failure isn't a sign that you're incapable. It's part of the process of getting better.
Okay.
It's like, think about it. If you're not making any mistakes, you're probably not trying anything new.
True.
And Audiobook 101, they actually quoted a leadership magazine that said, avoiding failure can have serious consequences.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just about feeling bad. It can actually hold us back.
Exactly. It's like constantly playing it safe. You never really reach your full potential.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this pressure to be perfect all the time, right?
Absolutely. Every attempt has to be a home run.
Yeah.
And that's just not realistic.
No.
And Maxwell is saying it's actually preventing us from growing.
And like Audiobook 101 said, it's all about perspective.
Yes, exactly. Whether a setback crushes us or helps us depends on how we see it.
It's like the glass half full, half empty thing, right?
Exactly. Is this failure the end of the world or a chance to adjust course?
So how do we actually do that? How do we change our perspective?
Well, think about a challenge you faced recently. What was your first reaction?
Probably panic.
Yeah, me too. But what if instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you asked yourself, what can I learn from this?
That is a pretty big shift.
It is, but it's powerful. Because like Audiobook 101 said, if we just focus on the loss, we get stuck. But when we look for the lesson, that's when failure becomes a stepping stone.
Okay. So we've got to be open to learning from those tough moments.
We do.
And Beyond Books really emphasize humility being super important for this whole learning process.
Oh, yeah. Humility is huge. It's the foundation for everything.
What do we even mean by humility?
Right. It's not about putting yourself down or feeling sorry for yourself.
No.
It's about honesty.
Okay.
It's about looking at yourself, your strengths and weaknesses, and admitting when you mess up. Arrogance, on the other hand, that's the enemy of learning.
How so?
If you think you're always right, you can't see your own mistakes.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's like trying to fill a glass that's already full.
There's no room for anything new.
Exactly. And Beyond Books, they made a really interesting point about successful people.
What's that?
They still make mistakes. Everyone does. It's just that they're humble enough to admit it.
So it's not about never failing. It's about how you handle it.
Exactly. They don't get stuck in denial. They face reality, and that's what allows them to keep growing.
Okay, so facing reality, that sounds kind of scary.
It can be.
Yeah.
But Beyond Books says it's absolutely essential for learning.
Why is that?
Because if we can't accept what happened, we can't figure out what went wrong, and we can't fix it.
It's like trying to solve a problem with your eyes closed.
Exactly. Denial might feel good in the moment, but it prevents us from making any real progress.
But facing reality, even when it's tough, is actually more empowering.
It is. It gives us back control.
Okay, and how do we even begin to face reality after a setback?
Well, Beyond Books suggests taking a step back.
Okay.
Try to separate yourself from the emotions of the situation.
Yeah.
Look at it objectively. Ask yourself, what actually happened and what could I have done differently?
That's a good strategy.
It is. It helps you see things more clearly.
So once you've faced reality, What's the next step?
Well, both Audiobook 101 and Beyond books agree. It's all about taking responsibility.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It is. It's about owning your actions, even when it's hard.
It's so easy to blame others, though, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's tempting to point fingers.
Yeah.
But as Audiobook 101 pointed out, that takes away your power. When you blame others, you're basically saying you have no control over your own life.
You're at the mercy of whatever happens.
Exactly. But when you take responsibility,
Yeah.
you acknowledge that you have the power to make different choices.
To change things.
Yes. Even when you can't control everything that happens to you,
Right.
you can still choose how you respond. And that's powerful.
And Audiobook 101 had that great story about Ted Williams.
Oh, yeah. A powerful example.
He was struggling with so much addiction, homelessness,
Yeah,
but he turned his life around.
he did.
And it wasn't because he got lucky.
Yeah.
It was because he took responsibility.
Exactly. He got help, he worked hard, he changed his life.
Okay, so we've acknowledged what happened. We've owned our part in it.
Right.
Now what?
Well, according to Maxwell, it's all about improvement. It's not just about figuring out what went wrong. It's about using that knowledge to get better.
To grow.
Exactly, both personally and professionally.
I like that.
Yeah.
But improvement can feel kind of overwhelming sometimes.
It can, but as Audiobook 101 reminds us, it's not about making huge leaps overnight.
Right.
It's about small, consistent steps. It's a process.
Like learning a new language or an instrument?
Exactly. It takes time and practice.
And Beyond Books mentioned self-assessment being a key part of this.
Absolutely. You need to regularly check in with yourself.
Okay.
Identify what's working, what's not, and set goals for improvement.
And is it enough to just assess yourself, or should you be getting feedback from others?
Feedback is crucial.
Yeah.
It gives you a different perspective. It helps you see things you might miss on your own.
Like blind spots.
Exactly. And remember, focus on those small wins.
Okay.
Those little improvements that add up over time.
Right.
Audiobook 101 talked about Walter Cronkite.
The news anchor.
Yes, he had this disastrous early experience in broadcasting. Yeah, he wasn't prepared at all. It was a total flop.
Oh, no.
But he learned from it. He took responsibility, and he became one of the most respected journalists of all time.
That's a great reminder that even legends mess up sometimes.
They do.
Wow.
It's how they bounce back that makes the difference.
Okay, so we're working on improving ourselves. But what happens when things get really tough?
That's where hope comes in.
Hope.
Yeah, both Audiobook 101 and Beyond Books say it's essential for getting through tough times.
Why is that?
Because hope gives you the strength to keep going even when you want to quit.
It's that belief that things can get better.
Exactly. And Audiobook 101 made a really interesting point about hope.
What's that?
They said it's a choice.
Really?
Yeah, you can choose to be hopeful. It's not just something that happens to you.
So how do we cultivate hope, especially when we're struggling?
Well, setting small, achievable goals can help.
Okay.
Each time you succeed, even in a small way, it reinforces that belief that you can overcome challenges.
I like that. And Audiobook 101 had that amazing story about Jim Abbott.
Oh, yes, the baseball player.
Born without a left hand.
Yeah, incredible story.
And he didn't just make it to the major leagues.
No.
He became an inspiration for people all over the world.
He did, and it all started with hope and the belief that he could achieve anything.
So we need to believe in ourselves even when things are tough.
We do, and we need to see problems as opportunities.
That's a good point. Both Audiobook 101 and Beyond Books talked about that.
Yes, problems are inevitable. They're going to happen.
Right.
But instead of seeing them as roadblocks,
Yeah.
we can see them as chances to learn and grow.
Okay, so how do we actually do that?
Well, problems force us to think creatively,
Right.
to come up with solutions we might not have considered otherwise.
They push us out of our comfort zone.
They do,
Yeah.
and that's where the magic happens.
I love that. And Audiobook 101 shared John Maxwell's own experience with this.
Oh, yeah, the church relocation.
That was a tough one.
It was 12 years of challenges and setbacks.
Financial problems, environmental regulations, you name it.
But he persevered. He found solutions. He didn't give up.
And ultimately, the church was relocated.
Exactly, a testament to the power of resilience and problem solving.
So it's not about avoiding problems altogether. It's about facing them head on.
Yes, and seeing them as opportunities for growth.
Okay, so we've talked about problems, but what about just bad experiences in general?
Right. Well, both Audiobook 101 and Beyond Books say that even those can be valuable.
Really?
It all depends on our perspective. It's about choosing to see the good even in the bad.
To find the lesson in the experience.
Exactly. And Audiobook 101 talked about splatters versus bouncers.
What are those?
So splatters are the people who stay down when they fall.
Okay.
Bouncers are the ones who get back up and keep going.
So it's all about how we choose to react.
Exactly. And Maxwell has a great story about this in Audiobook 101.
What happened?
He lost his entire book manuscript.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was devastated. But his friend kept searching for it. He found it. Yeah, it was a huge lesson for Maxwell about the power of hope and perseverance.
So even when things seem hopeless, we shouldn't give up too soon.
We shouldn't. There's always a chance things can turn around.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But let's bring it back to the core message of the book.
Okay.
Which is this idea of winning versus learning.
Yes, and both Audiobook 101 and Beyond books made it clear that learning is more important than winning.
Why is that?
Because sometimes you can win without really learning anything.
That's interesting.
It's like getting lucky.
Yeah.
You might achieve success, but you haven't necessarily developed the skills or knowledge to do it again.
So it's not about just reaching the finish line. It's about what you learn along the way.
Exactly. And Audiobook 101 warned about the dangers of complacency.
Okay.
When we achieve something, we tend to relax.
Right.
But it's important to keep pushing ourselves to set new goals to keep learning.
It's like that Bill Gates quote, "Success is a lousy teacher."
That's a good one because it's true. We learn more from our failures than our successes.
And Audiobook 101 told that story about the grandfather playing checkers with his grandson.
Oh, yeah, the grandson just wanted to win.
He didn't care about learning the game.
Exactly. And that's a problem because without learning, we can't grow.
Right. And Beyond, books touched on the importance of change and maturity.
Yes. Change is necessary for growth.
It can be scary, though.
It can. But it's how we evolve.
And maturity comes from learning from our experiences.
Yes, both the wins and the losses.
It's about becoming more self-aware, more resilient.
Exactly.
So if we had to sum up everything we've learned today, it's that we need to shift our perspective on failure.
Yes, instead of seeing it as a defeat,
right,
we need to see it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
To become better versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And John Maxwell's message is clear. Winning isn't everything.
The learning is.
It is, and it's a lifelong journey.
So for all of you listening out there, think about the last time you faced a challenge. Instead of focusing on the loss, what did you learn from that experience?
And how can you use that knowledge to approach future challenges differently?
That's something to really think about. And if you want to dive deeper into all of this, check out John C. Maxwell's book, Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn.
It's full of wisdom and insights.
And take some time to reflect on your own journey.
Those ways we were losses.
What have you learned along the way?
You might be surprised at how much you've already grown.
Absolutely. And that's it for this deep dive into learning from our experiences.
Until next time, keep learning and keep growing.
And remember, sometimes you win.
And sometimes you learn.
That's the beauty of it.
It is.
Thanks for listening, everyone.